Thank you very much, President Randy. How you doing? My name is Azim DeVoe from the United Federation of Teachers. Uh, so real quick, you always inspire me when I hear you talk, so I almost forgot what I was going to say, but I want to respond to something that Loretta was saying earlier when she was talking about racial equity. And one of the things I was always proud about our union is that we can do multiple things at one time in task. And while we have to fight a lot of outside forces, I just want to talk about a little internal reflection. So I do the trainings for the UFT, the Dignity for All Students Act, which is the discrimination, harassment, and bullying awareness trainings. And one of the things, we've trained over 13,000 people since last February. And one of the things I'm finding as I'm reading through thousands of the evaluations is a lot of our members saying they don't have an opportunity to talk about issues of race or sexism or homophobia. They don't get that chance. And even if somehow it was offered in a professional development, they don't feel it's a safe environment to talk about issues. And so while I don't believe anyone in this room is racist, sexist, or homophobic, we all have these biases in us. And then what happens is by not talking about it, I find when something happens, whether it's a Ferguson or in Baltimore or in Staten Island, members don't know what to say. And they wind up falling back to stereotypes, or microaggressions that they have. So one of the things, going back to what you were saying, Vice President Loretta, is I think we need something similar to what New York is doing around the Dignity for All Students Act in every local where there's a training that we have teachers take where people can really talk about stereotypes and microaggressions and things of that nature.
That's a good idea.
I try to do professional developments in as many schools as possible. And a lot of times when I go to schools, they say all their professional developments is, Common Core, evaluation, lesson planning, which are very important and crucial to our job. But to never have a conversation, of how we, there's a lot of our members, we still think certain races are better than math than other races, or certain genders are better in science, and we still carry those things. And I think not having the conversation is not helping us when issues start up. Then they become divisive issues because we don't speak about them. And so, that's my only suggestion. Our family from Pennsylvania, New Jersey, and Connecticut, I would love to come and talk and build with them. But, for those who are much further away, I do think we need something on a national level where we can talk about, stereotypes and microaggressions. Not that any of us are bad people, but just so we can do some self-reflection on the, the internal bias that we carry with us every day.
Thanks for the great.
You just summed up a lot of what our task force talked about at the first meeting.
Yeah.
And we're going to have a second meeting because we got to that level and they want to come with a solution. And when the recommendation from our task force is not a national task force, we wanted to go to state and local unions. We want it to be put in place what we do here in this task force. That was the purpose of me asking Randy for this. And we focus on black males and boys because of what is happening and where the statistics are. And we didn't want to have, I said to Randy, I don't want to have no more conversation with black people. Talking about the same issue. We need to talk to our counterparts. We need to know what is going on and how we change this culture. And that conversation can't be national. It's got to come state and it's got to come local. And you're right. And that's what we want, just what you just said. Talking to one another. When Mary Catherine said, we got your back, I want her to have my back and my front.
Yeah.
Because these issues are relevant. I raised 3 African-American males, and I know what I had to do to make them be here. And I don't want another African-American mother go through what I went through to get my boys grown and to make sure I see them at 50.
That's right.
Amen.
You don't know what that feeling is and how it is inside you because you're not an African-American.
That's right.
And so we have to have that conversation as to what and how we change that. Our youngsters say to us over and over again, when I walked in the rides and I said to the kids, what is the problem? They look at me and they said, if you don't know what the problem, don't ask me. I felt bad. because I had lost touch with our youth. And you got to understand that statement. And so I'm with you. And our task force, I can tell you, we're meeting in Ferguson on the on the first anniversary of the Ferguson problems. And we're going to come up with some good recommendations, and we're going to come down. Because we had that conversation. I had tears. I had folk open up. I mean, it was 30 people there. And you had to see what came out when they did the reporting out. You had to be there to understand it. I don't think I can kind of tell you the way it was.
Thank you, ma'am. I'd love to be part of that.
So what we're going to do is we have 3 more folks up. I know there's a lot of 1, 2, 3, right? Yeah. So I know there's a lot of folks who've asked us questions on Twitter. We'll try to answer them in a different kind of way, but we really wanted to have this here because we want to leave all together. We got Pete here, and I understand there's a video from someone that who taped something for us today. So I'll try to do all of these things in the next few minutes. So why don't we start here? 1, 2, 3, then the video, then Pete.
Cool.
All right, thank you. Hi, I'm Paul Goodland from Hillsborough County, Florida, and I'm glad I'm going next because I'm piggybacking on the last 2 things. First of all, I want to state that I have great faith that our actions are the righteous actions, and I see our clearest path to dealing with some of these issues is to really address income inequality in this country and what it's done to our social structure. I think if anybody has, how many have seen Robert Reich's movie on income inequality? If you haven't seen it yet, it's an absolute must. You have to see it. I'm going to switch gears in a minute and pull it back together, but I think the work we're doing right now with tough standards and making kids talk and argue and debate and improve their answers and question authors' intent is helping bring up a generation that's going to be less susceptible to bias. And I think a population that's educated and understands what's in the best interest of society will not stand for income inequality. So I really believe we need to stay the course on what we're doing with our tough standards and driving kids to challenge their assumptions. And I think it's not the 5-year plan, it might be the 10 or 15-year plan, but I think we're going to bring up a generation of people who will see better ideas.
Thanks for that.
No?
Yep.
Hi, good evening. Ms. Lord, I think you said something along the lines of you want to hear about things that aren't necessarily working.
Say it a little bit
Louder? You want me to be really?
Loud. Yeah, we
Never been told that before. You asked that we mention something maybe that isn't working. And I almost wish I spoke before my UFT brother just a moment ago, because in our school, one of the things that hasn't worked is being afraid, or at least my perception of fear, of talking about issues like this. Right after Ferguson and right after the Eric Garner case, we were mandated to go to a meeting and talked about very canned articles. And I was probably one of the people who was the most annoyed and said, this won't solve it. This doesn't fix it. If we meet next week and the week after and next month and the month after, that's the beginning. But this conversation doesn't fix it. And I guess a little emotional about it, but excited at the same time to feel the support from everybody that we can have support on that there are task force. Maybe I should have known about that before. I didn't, and now I know. Now I know that the UFT offers things like that. And like I said, I wish I spoke before him, but being afraid doesn't work. Not doing it doesn't work. And we have to be willing to get in there and talk
You're right.
and do it. and say something wrong and make a mistake and talk through it as educators so that we can do it with our kids, so that we can do it with other educators and other adults and go out in the community and do it more.
That's right.
One of the things before we get to Michael, just the whole issue about how we communicate and how we take things that we are doing and getting out. I teased before, but I wish we could find a way that we would have a teletown hall with all 1.6 million members on every single issue, and that everybody would be on the phone all the time, right? But we all get our information in different ways. We all spark to different things. And so we're going to have to figure out how these representative things, like these two task force, how we get information, how we get input from people, how we get information out. Part of the reason that I tweet every day about 20 or 30 things is to try to do that. Part of the reason that on our website we try to make it better constantly, you know, member friendly, is to try to do that. But I think a lot of this is we're going to have to figure out better ways of talking amongst and between each other, because think about even this town hall, how much more connected people feel right now than they did before because of the connections amongst each other. Because we are a family in that kind of way.
I feel very blessed that I was able to come here with the UFT's help. This is my 10th year, and this is the first time I've been to any sort of meeting like this. This is the first time that I felt the support that I feel, that I've had the inspiration that I felt. I have been telling everybody, my family, my friends, my colleagues, about how inspired I've been since 12:30 on Monday. It's never been like that.
Well,
So thank you.
look, there are a lot of years we had to fight so much, and we fought leading with anger. This year, we're fighting leading with love. And I think people are seeing that in that kind of way. Okay, Michael.
All right, Michael Friedman, United Federation of Teachers. You're correct, Randy. When I knew about the endorsement, I did not know about this resolution.
Right.
And this resolution is very, very important, because whether or not we get that fifth justice in the Friedrich case, we're going to need to do this anyway.
Exactly.
And even if
Right.
we lose that case, if we meet the goals in 5 years that we say we're going to meet, it won't matter, because we will engage members and members will want to join, and actually we could become a model to reinvigorate the whole labor movement.
Thank you. I would argue we still have to win the next presidential election.
Yes.
But I think you're absolutely right. And with that, there is someone who wanted to be with us today and couldn't, but I think there's a video from her, if I'm right.
Thank you for inviting me to address AFT's Teach Town Hall. And I just love what that TEACH stands for, Together Educating America's Children. I am proud to stand with you, together for America's children and America's future. And I'm very grateful to all 1.6 million members of the AFT for endorsing me to be your candidate in the 2016 Democratic presidential primary. Every day, AFT members across the country go to work serving our communities, in our preschools, our elementary, middle, and high schools, our hospitals, our colleges and universities, and in our public agencies. Your work and your voices are an essential part of keeping America strong. This campaign is about you. Together, I know we can build a stronger, fairer, more inclusive America. An America where parents can give their kids real opportunities. Every child should be able to start learning early, at home, in pre-K, and then get off to a good public school with great teachers. Every family should be able to save for college without worrying that they'll never be able to afford it. And young people should be able to start their careers without crushing debt that holds them back. That means education has to be at the top of our national agenda. We have got to get beyond the toxic debates over education and refocus on what works. All the evidence I've seen says that the most important and impactful thing we can do for our public schools is to recruit, support, respect, and retain the highest quality educators. But I know that in recent years, as our economy and our families struggled, and as we so desperately wanted to be sure our kids were getting the education they deserve, our teachers have taken on more and more. You've risen to the challenge, but you've not always gotten the support you deserve. Well, let me tell you what I believe. Teachers should never be the scapegoats for our problems. Where I come from, teachers are part of the solution. Well, I'm sorry that I cannot be with you in person at the Teach Conference. I want you to know that in the months ahead, I will be listening to you, working with you, and fighting for you as I have done for so many years. I thank you again for your tremendous support and your endorsement. Have a great conference.
Before I give the floor to Pete, I just want to say how grateful I am to all of you. You are what keeps everything together, and you've taken it on the chin for so long. But I do feel like together we're going to rock this house and rock this country and reclaim it for the right things and the right reasons. Thanks very, very much, everybody. So can we get off the stage, or you want us on the stage? Yes, we can get off the stage. Okay, we get off the stage, and Pete comes on the stage.
Let me have the stage.
You can have the stage.
Let me have that stage. Thanks, guys. Hey, how are you? Good, good. Go get him, Pete.
Thank you.
Hey, Randy, how are you? Awesome job.
Thank you. Thank you.
Oh, how you doing? How you doing? Meet you. New York. Hi. From New York? Yes. Hi, Florida. Yeah, let's do the state. Tampa also. Tampa. Oh, well, I appreciate it. But I don't want to bother you. It's nice to meet you. And Loretta, how are you? Yeah. Give it up for this legend right here, Loretta, everybody, as she makes her way off stage. That woman.